So the first part is the first lesson you had. It's good that you had it, but at the beginning of your startup journey, you don't need to care about legal stuff. Is this legal? Yeah, maybe it's better if it's legal, but until it's a company, who cares, right? It's not a company, right? GDPR, EU, image, who cares? You're not a company, right? Tax and finance, well, you're not making any money, so why are you worrying about that, right? So at the beginning, these things can come after, once you understood that your business makes sense. Okay, at the people learn in school. I was a student in economics as well as yourself, and I always learn, business model. This is the income and profit margins, whatever. At the beginning, we don't care about these things because we don't need them. We just need to understand if the problem that we found is worth risking and starting a business. But why do you care what is a SRL, limited company, SPA, what's how many tax you need to pay at the end of the year? Why do you need to know at the beginning? There is no reason why. You're just losing time. And mostly, if you're running successful startups, you pay someone to do that, right? You just need to know how much money you have in the bank. That's it. It's better if you have an understanding, but you don't need to. If you're running successful startups, these kind of things will be done by lawyers, accountants, and so on, not you as a founder. The other thing is the SRL limited company. So a lot of people think, I need to start a business, therefore I need to open a company. And now we're getting back to the legal part. No, open the business as late as possible. If you open as late as possible, that means that you understood what to do in a lot before opening the business. And that time before opening the business gives you the advantage of doing a good job. If you're opening right away, you don't know. You don't know if the service works, if the product will be bought, right? Again, if you're opening a traditional business, yes, the first thing you need to do is to open an SRL limited company because you need to rent the space or get a loan from the bank or hire people. But if you're opening a startup that is navigating uncharted waters, you don't know if you're gonna make it. So don't think about opening a business immediately. This only comes once you understand that your business can make sense. And we'll get there in a moment. Another thing is co-founders. So, until you're playing with your friends, that's fine. You're playing with your friends, if things can work, la la la. But if you have to set up a company with people, I did that mistake by not knowing so well the people I work with, and it's pretty painful because at some point they are in the same, it's called cap table. That's like the compagine sociale, I don't know how to call it. Cap table is the number of equity you have in your business together with other people. So if I open a business with Mobin, I have 50%, yes, 50%. We are in the cap table is 50% Simone, 50% Mobin. Once you're in that position, if the other co-founder wants to stop working and leave you, there is nothing you can do. You're together in the business, in the cap table. You can't sue him or her for leaving. Okay, so you're left with half of a company that the other person is not working on. And this is also like not the worst scenario, okay? So be very careful who you're working with. I think I put, you don't have to like go out with these guys or these girls every day. You don't have to like them so much that you will see them every day, okay? But the important thing is you're aligned on core values. Work, family, friends, what do they think about these kind of values? I would say also political view. If any of you are very strong on a view, might have some conflicts. And the most important thing is personal finances. If you're, sorry to say this, guys, it's very blunt, but it's how it is. If you're way more richer than the other person that you're working with, most likely he or she will need money before you do. So that means that if you're running a startup and you make no money, what is this person doing after 12 months of making no money? Is he or she continuing working with you and trying to do another year of extra work, not paid? Or is she or he leaving you? And then again, you're left like this, mostly if you open a limited company. So these are the kind of conversation you need to have, very tough conversation with the people that you want to open a business with. It's not some friends at the bar having a cigarette. Is what do you want to do? Who are you? You don't have to ask how much money they have, but how are you maintaining yourself? You know, what are your skills? Are we complementary in the business? La la la. So that's very, very important. Don't take it for granted. People change, their interests change, their financial situation change. It's not you, it's not yours. So don't take this for granted. Questions that will give you something to work with after you have the feedback. Okay? So for example, tell me about the last time you tried to, I don't know, depends on what problem you're solving, right? Try to. What happened? So you sit down and you listen. You need to listen way more than you talk. Okay? They say something you don't quite understand. They say something you don't agree. Shut up. Don't overcomplicate. Just get the feedback. Okay? Get the feedback. If you ask them last time you tried to do that, of course they'll give you the process, right? So you will understand the process of them solving their problem. Maybe your solution can, help if you understand where your solution fit in this process. So this is the best first question to ask. Tell me what happened when you do that. Tell me what you do when you do that. You can also go like, tell me what you feel when you do that. Okay, because you can put an emotional component to the thing. Walk me through step by step. What made it difficult? Okay, so maybe this person is sharing with you, it was so difficult to do that. Okay, why? Why was it so difficult? What specific thing about it was so difficult? You want the specific thing. Okay, until this person tells you, you don't leave the room. Okay. How did you solve it today? What's the impact when it goes wrong? Okay, that's a very good question. I give an example. I want to build a software that will make impossible for nuclear reactor to explode. Okay, it's a stupid example. You ask the person you want to solve the problem, what happens if it explodes? That's called a terrifying question. Terrifying questions are the best. Because when you ask the people you're trying to help with your solution, terrifying question, they will stop for a second and then they'll give it to you. They will let you know what's gonna happen if it's that terrifying. If something goes wrong, I'm gonna lose my business, I need to fire 3 people, I need to change supplier, I need to move to Antarctica, So you will understand the pain and the kind of like stress of this person on this topic. So terrifying questions are great. Question that scares the person you're interviewing, they're great. How often does it happen? How did you first notice this was a problem? So all the questions that give you things to work with, how often does it happen? You understand how many times this person has the problem. So you understand how many times he or she might need your solution, right? It's a very precise question. So you need to ask this precise question. Sorry. Oh, I think I put way much more questions, but I didn't. So I will share it with you next time. Yeah, okay. So after you get the questions, I will send you guys the link to the book, no worries. You need to collect the feedback and you need to identify where your product or your solution fit into this sea of answers that you got. Okay, so you will see, 15% of the response, they have a problem in point A. 72% of the people have the answer have the problem in point B. Shit, maybe I need to look into point B. Okay, you cannot know that until you interview a lot of people. 100, 150 people, if you can, that's a good base. People come to me, I interview 20 people, that's like your friends. You need a little bit more people. So, once you understand that, you did a lot of work already. Don't wait too long. Don't wait too long on branding. Don't wait too long on things like that. Just use a vibe coding app, Lovable, and 8N, whatever, Cursor, whatever you guys can use. Build a landing page, build a waiting list. Click here to get the product in 6 months. Click here to get the product in 3 months. Is it true? No. Do we care? No. We want to see how many people click on it. So you get the landing page, explaining a little bit what you're doing, okay? And you try to spam it. you spam it as much as you can. Because you want people, you want to see, I spammed it to approximately 100,000 people, I get 99.99 whatever people to click on it. Wow, that's a great answer, okay? And your effort was to build a landing page, that's it. So you didn't waste so much time to whatever, okay? So you have precise answers with low effort. Yes?
And but they're doing something smart. You know, I found this marketing trick super smart. That like you're going super like inclusive, and you're giving access to a low quantity of people, like low number of people.
Yep.
And because of that, you like gain a lot of attention. You gain a lot of hype. You gain a lot of basically like quality users. And how are we gonna just set up these funnels into our startups?
Yeah, okay. It's hard to answer shortly, but the best answer I can give you is that you need to understand your people, your user, your buyer persona very well. Once you understand that, and you do that before you open the business, you do that before, if you do that, you are able to target them very well. So it's easier than to go direct to the point. And obviously, if they are close, it depends what you do. If you're doing a software for reducing the cost of software, that's not very sexy, right? So it's hard to be so sexy about it, you know. But if you're doing clothes, then you know maybe you can do it, you know. But understanding very well who's buying your product.
Who's the user?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just something related to
Yeah.
what you said. Like the thing is that when you create a market, like many clothing brands started with saying like we're just selling few products, so we build like the quality, like Trapstar, Cortez, many street brands were born like that. But I think that when we're speaking about startups, it's not like the contrary. Like the startup is like something new that people need. So how can that be related to creating demand? The demand, it's the startup itself. No?
You mean that the people don't know they have that problem? So yeah, okay, sure, that makes sense. So it's very simple. The explaining the theory about it, but is once you do all of these steps, which I'm gonna show you in a moment, and you were focused doing these steps, you will be able to scale it, and so you will have money to do marketing, sales. You'll have money to go to events. You'll have money to make very good partnerships. You will have money to go to events and fairs, to the booth. So you will create the need in people, but you will understand very well who wanna buy that, and then you will go crazy to target them, and then you will scale it. But they will start to look for you once you grow. You have your identity, you have your branding, you do your marketing. Then they will come to you as they come to any brand. But you need to get to the point where it makes sense to invest that money in marketing before you try to sell something that it doesn't work or it solves nothing, you know. I hope that answer. Okay, just one last thing, guys. I think I have 1 and 2 and that's it. So one big misconception about startups is that founder, they want to see, I want to close a deal with Google because then I'm cool. Well, yeah, good luck. You know, it might take you like 12, 18 months to close a deal like that. So what are you doing in the meantime? You're probably shutting down because you don't have 12 months to wait, you know? So it's way much better to avoid any kind of like public entity, avoid grants, you know, Bandi, public grants, like a 30,000 from the region, you know, things like that. Avoid those. Those are fake, those are traps because you have to pay them in advance in 99% of the cases. So you need to advance a lot of money. And then you get back like 70, 80%, sometimes 100. But after how many years? 2, 3? So do you need that money to what? You know, to pay your salary? If you open a startup to pay your salary, you didn't understand what a startup is. So avoid grants, working with public entity, avoid big corporates, unless you have a very direct contact that will quickly get you started. Okay? Unless you're solving a problem for a big corporate, that you can replicate to other corporates. But if a corporate doesn't if you don't know any of them, or any of these people, that you can easily access them, don't waste your time. They will come to you once your solution is good enough, okay, once you raise capital. But at the beginning, avoid big deals, because you're not ready to do a big deal yet. You need to take care of a product, you need to take care of the code. Is the code working? You know, you don't know. And you cannot follow a big deal if you're busy with this basic stuff. So don't chase big deals. It's another big misconception about startups at the beginning. One last thing is something that I see every day. You open a business, you did the mistake of opening the limited company too soon, okay? And now you're like, my product doesn't work, I make no money. And there is this client that is asking me if I can do this service, which is very similar to what I do, but not really what I do. Well, that's a waste of time. You know, they're probably paying you miserably, like a very little, because you're a cheap founder. And they're getting a service that they will pay professional companies like 5 times, 10 times. But you're happy because you make some money. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. Don't accommodate every client. If you accommodate every client, you're no longer a startup, you're an agency. You're a consulting firm, which is very different from a startup. Okay, if you're in the shit and you need some money, you can do that, but totally I don't recommend to do so. Okay, so how do we start startup? So if you really want to know like the basic things that they teach in campus, in US, in Asia and things like that, they just say, make a list of the problems you have. Okay, that's the first thing. Like you take a piece of paper and you write the problem that you have, because if you feel a problem, it's most likely you're gonna be committed to work to solve it. So make a list of the problems you have. Think which other people might have the same problem, maybe categories, If some of your friends have the same problem, some of your friends have the same problem, maybe they can work with you on this, maybe not. But if they have the same problem, they feel it the same way, maybe they can. So the first thing is make a list of the problem you have, and the second thing is think who can have that problem. And if the answer is everyone, that's a shit answer. You need to get a bit deeper into that. Now answering to your question, yes, of course, you need to do some market research. But the best way to do a market research, which is not a pain in the ass, is to look who's doing it. Like I wanna solve this problem. Who's solving this problem at the moment? Google, see who's doing it, and see, in your opinion, why they're not perfect at solving that problem. If I have to develop a solution about this problem, what will I change from these companies I found that they're trying to solve the problem, right? And that's what you want to do, right? You want to solve the problem, but tackling the issue that the other providers are not solving yet. So that's kind of what you want to do. And to get back to, what's your name? Alessandro, yes, of course you need to do some market research. Pretty much, guys, just a tip, but that's very important. The other guy, a student from SAA came to me and like, I want to develop a marketplace for Sicilian products. Like, okay, how big is the market for Sicilian product? Well, it's like $10 million. Like, yeah, that's very small. Like, he wants to do a marketplace, so most he can earn is $10 million. That's not a startup. You know, like you will never get an investor to give you money for that. You know, because an investor wants to make a lot of money. They much rather you fail than you make them a little money. Okay, so you have to think about the market that your potential solution is targeting. It has to be pretty big. Okay, so everything that is related to again, that's why restaurant, clothes, like marketplace, e-com, they're not, unless it's Alibaba or things like that, they're not huge markets for startups because investors are not interested in this market. Okay, yeah, we have one question there, and then Amir. Yeah, behind. Yeah, do you have a question? No. Oh, okay. It was you. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So, but if the thing that we want to do, no one else does it, how can we see like the clientele that they have?
Okay, that's the first question. Amir, you have a question?
I was
Yeah, a lot in the community.
You share with us some of
Yeah, sure. I'll go on and share a practical case. Yeah, sure. Alessandro asked if nobody's doing what I want to do, what should I do, right? How should I research, right?
Market analysis if I cannot see the competitors.
Okay, so the first answer, so Alessandro asked if nobody's doing what I want to do, how do I search about it? How do I do an analysis? Okay, first of all, if nobody's doing what you want to do, there are 3 cases. You're not able to do research. It can be. 2, you're a fucking genius and you're gonna be the next, right? 3, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. So there is a sad truth about not finding anything that you're thinking that nobody wants it. Something impossible, you know? Or something that sounds so good, but then nobody uses it. You know, I do this a lot in the last 3 years, and a lot of students, and I had the same idea when I was a student. They want to build like a super app. Have you heard about super app? Super app is something that does everything. Oh, I want to build an app that you can find events, soccer, friends, party, study, transportation. Like, yeah, it's impossible. You know, it's impossible because nobody will keep updating every single piece of information, right? So you always have to think about that. So if you don't find anything, there are three options, but there is a way to find out, which I'm showing you in a moment. Okay, Alessandro is making me the question, is spoiling me the lesson. Yeah, we have 2, 1, and 2. Yeah.